you know, I think we have a problem with the scope, the size, and the power of the federal government in general.
Okay, commence firing now!
The modern-day militia movement begins in 1994, after a number of tragic confrontations between separatists and federal agencies. By 1995, at the height of their popularity, there are more than 1 million militia members in the United States. Militias consider themselves patriots, who, like America's founding fathers, are willing to fight for the principles on which this country was founded over 200 years ago. Although times have changed, some people feel it's dangerous to let the federal government's power over its citizens steadily increase. Militias believe that the only way to sustain a government of the people, by the people, for the people, is through freedom and self-reliance.
The reason I was interested in starting the Missouri's 51st Militia goes back to the days of Ruby Ridge, Waco, where the federal government, in my eyes, I perceive them as getting out of hand. The way with dealing with the American people is not go with guns blazing like what was happening back then. We felt that it was time that the everyday citizens start standing up and stating that we were watching you, we don't approve what you're doing, and we want to get back to what the Constitution says your jobs and responsibilities are. Deciding on a name was very critical, and my brother came up with the idea of the Missouri's 51st Militia based on the 51-day standoff down at Waco, Texas. One of the biggest catastrophes, I personally feel, in the 20th century, and we swore an allegiance when we started the 51st that another Waco would not occur within the United States.
I think one of the things that kind of concerned me is I know in one of the very first meetings that they had that they stated they were going to stick to the 3 B's, which was bullets, beans, and the Bible. I think it concerned me at that point what they were going to do with the bullets.
There are civilian militias in every region of the United States. By 1996, 858 Patriot groups were known to exist. 2 years later, only 523 could still be accounted for. Some had moved underground, which makes them less visible and potentially more dangerous. Remaining above ground gives the Missouri 51st the advantage of using the media to help spread their message. And that's just what 51st co-founder Colonel Jim McKenzie wants.
Choosing the militia instead of another avenue to make these changes, say like going out and being a politician, I would not make a good politician. I feel that, and people have told me, you're too honest. If I make a mistake, I will stand up and say I made a mistake. So the next best thing that we could possibly do was to start a militia. And the reason why that would be is simply because of the name militia gathers attention.
While many in the 51st are registered Republicans and Libertarians, all consider themselves American patriots first.
The best way to voice your opinion is to band together and form a group, and people listen to you a little bit more instead of individuals. And that was the whole focus on the beginning, is let's get together and try to change a few things politically if we can.
Civil rights attorney Brian Levin has testified before Congress on anti-government terrorism. He also trains law enforcement on domestic terrorism related to extremists and hate groups.
One other thing that I think is dangerous about these militias, while the vast majority of them will never do anything but jawbone and act as sounding boards for their wacky ideology, a small underbelly of this movement is dangerous and violent and secretive. And we have to be careful, because many of these people who are in that violent fringe have committed a vast array of offenses ranging from murder to terrorism.